So this video is for people that have tutors working for them, or administrators, or any form of staff member that is helping you run your business. I am in Australia at the moment. I'm on a week-long holiday with my wife for my sister's wedding, and so we're in Canberra, and it's a whole lot of fun. But I caught up with a friend for lunch yesterday who runs a dance school over here. I like to joke that he's like the Australian black dance version of me because we've done a whole lot of the same things. One of our programs we have that streams into schools across Australasia, into classrooms, he's done a similar thing with dance. He's got a trust that does charitable work. He's got a private school for private students. He does motivational speaking in schools. He's even won some of the exact same awards for Australia like I've won in New Zealand, and so he's a super cool guy, and we've connected because he actually spoke at my mum's school because she's a teacher, now retired, but she said, oh, you've got to meet this guy, he's amazing. And so we connected and became friends many years ago, and so he's got about 7 or 8 staff, and we were having lunch yesterday, and he was amazed that I was taking a holiday during term time, during lessons. It's not a school holiday break for us right now. And he's saying, how do you take a break when it was, it's the first week of a school term for us. It's the way that we operate by terms. And I said, well, my whole team just they do it all for me. They can run everything, and I can take a break whenever I want, pretty much. And he was asking me, like, how do I move past that level where it doesn't go me and then everyone else in the pecking order, or the organisational chart, if you want the technical term. How do I move from me to everyone and change it to me, 1 or 2 people, and then everyone? And so we had a big conversation, and I talked about my organisational chart and pulled it out and talked about some of the things that he was doing. But the biggest thing I said to him, because one of his biggest frustrations was I build up these tutors and then they end up leaving, and they don't take on any sort of management or leadership skills. They just stay in their realm of, for him, dance and the technical skills and the teaching, but they never want to branch out into the management, or they just out of their depth if they try. And I said, well, what sort of leadership development program do you have for them? And he said, oh, well, I either offer them I recommend them to go do this diploma, which they can do part-time, but it takes a couple years and it costs, whatever it costs. And that's one option. Or I say, go find a mentor, listen to podcasts, read leadership and management books, etc. And I said, the problem with that is that you are putting it entirely in their court to actually make this happen. And so you're only going to get people that already have that leadership drive and want to go hard with that and really pursue it, if that's already inside of them. But those sorts of leaders and managers, they're not, what's the term? Well, basically, like, people aren't just born with that gift. I mean, some people might be, but you actually have to teach it. You have to implement it into your team, and you have to talk about it, and it needs to be part of what you do. So I said to him, I'll send you our leadership development stuff that I share with our team and with the BAM squad. And I said, just start with this one book. And so I recommended him the best leadership book that I think is out there for people starting and thinking about leadership. It's about 10 or 12 chapters. And so what we did is we just buy that book for all of our staff who want to pursue leadership and management, and we actually shoulder tap them and say, hey, I think in a year's time, if you put this into practice, you could actually be stepping up, but you really need to work on your leadership skills. And so the book costs us like $20, and it's an amazing book. And so what we've done is we've just gone and written chapter questions for each chapter of the book. And so you are saying to the person, hey, I want you to read this book, but I just want you to read chapter 1 this week. Here's the questions. Come back to me and fill them out, and we'll talk about them. So it's such a bite-sized chunk. And then some of the questions are written in a way that they actually have to make sure they've read the book. It might say something like, who was the person that the author quoted with this quote? And so they actually have to find that quote. It was quoted by John Smith, cool, and they fill that in. So there's those questions just to make sure they've actually read it. And then there's those open-ended questions where it's, reflect on your own skills. How do you think, this relates to you, and how do you think you would develop this? Or what's one thing you can put in place to start being intentional about developing this area of your life? And so you give them chapter 1, get the answers back, sit down, talk about it, and then chapter 2. And if they're really going for it, hey, here's the next 2-3 chapters. However you want to do it. If someone's really driven, give them all the chapter questions. Say, plow it out and let's talk when you're finished. So that's one thing that we do, and so I've got to send those notes through to him. But if you want to grow a business that basically allows you, freedom, which is, kind of what I've got this week. Can come to Australia. I've had a couple text messages and that's about it. You actually can't just hire tutors and leave it at that. You need to hire tutors and develop them, and it might not be for a few years until you're able to give them some extra, non-contact hours, meaning, hours beyond teaching. But you want teachers that have that sort of ownership. They're thinking, career-wise, I want to be a great teacher, but I also want to, be a leader, be a manager. I want to know how to really manage myself, how to lead myself, and how to lead others, and that will flow on to the rest of their lives. So have a think about that in terms of if you are working with team members, or if you are going to, how are you going to implement some of this sort of stuff? Because it actually is a real different thing to actually have a boss that says, all right, I'm going to invest in you as a leader, as a manager. Even though you don't even have that position yet, I want you to be thinking about it so that you're ready when the time comes. And you find ways to, give them responsibility. And I think back to all of my jobs as a young person, there weren't very many at all where someone actually took an interest on that level. And I think most people that I talk to in this business, they don't do that either. So starting simple, I obviously make all my resources available to the BAM squad, but that's one simple way you can do it. You can find a really great leadership book like we have, and start with that book. And of course we have about three books which are like the core ones that our team sort of reads, and we sit down and talk about them, and that really grows people's leadership responsibility. And that is how you're able to move from you, the boss, and then everyone underneath you, to you, a few managers, and then everyone, so you can have a bit more freedom and work on the things that you want to work on within your business. There we go. I hope that's helpful to some of you, and wish you all the best with growing not just amazing tutors and an amazing music teaching business, but amazing leaders, because our world is honestly so short of amazing leaders. So get out there, be one yourself, and grow some within your business as well.